This is Matchday live on LUTV with NordVPN. Today, Daniel Farke's Leeds United head to the south coast to take on fellow compatriot Fabian Hürzeler's Brighton side at the Amex. Brighton were on the end of a 4-2 away defeat to Manchester United last time out in the Premier League, whilst the Whites dispatched West Ham at Elland Road. With just 1 point separating the two teams in the table, Leeds will be looking to soar above the Seagulls with a win. All the build-up on the way ahead of full match commentary. This is Matchday Live, and it's Brighton versus Leeds United.
That's an absolute belter! Oh, it's in from Longstaff! Okafor! Dominic Calvert-Lewin!
Yes, hello, welcome to Matchday Live. Joining us in the studio today, we have Michael Bridges and Stuart Dallas. Hello to you both.
Good to see you, Ben.
Great to have you with us. An exciting match ahead after the West Ham game, obviously, where we saw such a great display in that very long first half, one of the longest I've ever experienced, and got those 3 points. What are we expecting today? Are we expecting a similar opposition, or is it going to be a different level?
I think it'd be a completely different level. I've seen West Ham a few times this season. I think it was a game that we must win at home, and we did. We got the job done because they've been really poor. I think what you see with Brighton, they've been a very inconsistent team this season. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses in the league. So I would be going there with a mindset, it's a must-not-lose game. So a point would be tremendous. 3 would be outrageous to get a back-to-back win home and then away to do that. So that's the incentive. But you know, we're going there full of confidence after that win against West Ham, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the lads can do.
Absolutely. Stewie, I mean, Brighton this season, their form, like Michael has said, has been kind of all over the place. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. Is it hard to get a handle on what this Brighton team are all about?
Yeah, I think there's one thing for sure is if you let them play, they'll hurt you. I think they're a really good side, and they have been for a number of years now. They've obviously got a forward player in Danny Welbeck who is capable of scoring goals at this level. So, but they're kind of like a unique team in how they play, the way they want to play. You know, I remember even a couple of years back they would come here and you know, the way they play it out from the back in terms of the 2 centre-backs were almost inside the 6-yard box when they start play. They're a little bit different now, but certainly they try to force a lot of things through the middle of the pitch, which I think ironically can actually help us today because of how compact and how physical our midfield can be. But yeah, they've certainly got players that can hurt us, but probably a season so far for them that they would have expected a little bit more. But you know, hopefully we can go to a place that's not really a happy place for us to go to and get a result.
Well, yeah, that is true. We've had 9 games, no wins at the Amex. I've been there myself on some cold evenings back when we were in the Championship. It was never really a happy hunting ground.
And you just
for
put
Leeds.
us on a downer straight away. We're only 2 minutes into the start of the show, man.
There's always a but, Michael. Brighton have had a busier week than Leeds United, that's for sure. Yeah. Leeds last played last Friday. Brighton had the cup match in midweek, which they lost with a much changed side, it has to be said. And with this sort of the churn in the team, the fact that the results haven't necessarily gone their way, and Leeds having that elongated break, is that all helping to work in Leeds' favour?
Well, I mean, more so in Stewie's most recent times, the recovery, there's a lot more games. The intensity levels are a lot higher, the repeated recovery sprints. He'll tell you that it is all about recovery, and sometimes them extra hours, days can make a huge difference, but the squad size is a lot bigger nowadays compared to my days as well, and that's where you're looking to use them. But I think that's really one of Brighton's downfalls this season. They haven't really known their best starting 11. Stewie's mentioned one bell, Danny Welbeck, with Georgie Rutter is returning to play his old team. Yeah. That's another player we're going to have to make sure we really focus on, because we know how dangerous he can be if you allow have the ball at his feet. And I'm hoping, like you said, that does give us a little bit of an upper hand, having the extra minutes in the legs.
And how important, from a Leeds point of view, is keeping that momentum after 3 points at home against West Ham? Leeds are looking for back-to-back wins, going all the way back to October, November 2022 when we were last in the Premier League. So it's been a long wait to get multiple points in multiple games. How important is it to kind of keep that going away from home today?
Yeah, it's huge. The Premier League's a very, very hard league to win in. It sounds a long time when you think about we haven't done it since 2022, but it's a good opportunity today against the Brighton team. I think this is where Brighton excel at playing against the bigger teams at home, and probably their fans are expecting them to win today, which can play in our favour. But for us, certainly because of the run of games we have coming up, you'll look at this today and you'll think it's an opportunity to hopefully put in a good performance and get what I would call a good point on the road. You know, if you can just stay above that, we always in the Championship, you always talked about 2 points per game will get you promotion. Well, it's almost like the Premier League. If you can average 1 point per game, it guarantees you safety. We're above that threshold at the minute, and if we can get another point on the road today, you know, that'll go a long way for us.
And being in the Premier League as well, like you say, Stuart, it really intensifies that idea that every point, every goal, every opportunity has to be seized upon, doesn't it? I mean, Leeds did that fantastically well in our last game against West Ham, Michael. A very early goal, that sheer dominance in the first 15 minutes. Are you expecting to see a similar approach at the MX?
I'd like to think we're getting their faces early from the get-go. I think Stewie made a very, very valuable point. We said Brighton are going to try and play. They like to get the ball centrally and try to break teams down with a bit of combinational play, looking for the overloads in midfield. Maybe the centre-halves like to drive the ball out to do that, and it has a knock-on effect. When you got, you know, players, Sean Longstaff in the midfield, Tanaka's in there, Ethan Ampadu, that three gets so tight and narrow in the midfield. Like you say, when we win it, the transition moments with Aronson, Okafor going forward, we've been so dynamic. And I think, like Stewie said, if we can stop their threat and doing that, it could be a really good day for us. But we've got to start the first 15 minutes, and we like to press, we like to do it right, get in the front foot. And another man that's in shot now, Joe Roden, I've been so impressed with him this season. When we've had, you talk about getting on the front foot. When a defender gets in front of the attackers to win the ball and set your team on the go, he wins a lot of his first battles aerially and on the floor, and it's been good to see. So that's a trend he'll be looking to do today. Yeah,
Joe Roden obviously in the goals against West Ham. Made over 90 plus appearances consecutively for Leeds going back the last couple of seasons. He's obviously a favourite of Daniel Farke's. Do you think he is the first name on the team sheet these days?
I think there's a few of them all, but he leads by example. He's a quiet lad off the park. He's got Ethan Ampadu and DJ from the national team, but I just love the way that when he goes over that line, you know you're up for a really tough game against him. He'd be a defender out here. He runs you, he's good aerially, he's physical, and when he gets injured and he goes down, he's straight back up and he'll try and run things off. So he's a leader in his own right.
Yeah, he's really come into his own. I think because people were questioning him, maybe he left Spurs, he left the Premier League. Can he make that step up again?
He's shown it.
Absolutely. Stewie, to take things in a slightly different direction, all the way down to the south coast, in fact, this is one of the longer journeys that Leeds team and the fans will have to undertake this season. How, as players, did you sort of offset a bit of the boredom and on those longer travel days, whether it was on the bus or on a plane? What were you up to on those kind of days?
Well, certainly, I think the players will have flown down yesterday. There's so much you can do now. I know a lot of people like to watch Netflix. People actually bring their PlayStations with them, as you can bring them in a little portable.
Whole thing?
They're almost like a little suitcase. You can just plug it in on the coach or whatever and just play away. So I didn't really do that. I just chatted to somebody. It's wonderful when you chat to people. You know what you can find out and how good things can be. But actually talking to somebody and not having my head stuck in the phone. But yeah, for players now, they'll have flown down. Obviously, they'll have trained yesterday, flown down last night. I would always have watched the opposition individual clips of players just to give myself sort of a head start of, or try to anyway, try to make it a bit easier for me on a Saturday. But for players now, the way they travel, you know, the rest, recovery, the nutrition, everything they get is you don't have to worry about that. I think if you use that as an excuse, it's you know, it's just not right for me. But certainly it's a great place for fans to travel to. I'm sure there was a lot of them away early this morning on the coaches, and probably about 10 beers deep already before the game. So
it's a 3 p.m. kickoff, time to get some fish and chips as well, which is always nice.
But in terms of players going down, listen, some players like to do their own things. I just like to chill out and you know, watch clips of my opposition.
Fantastic. Well, it's time to head pitch side now, where we can hear from one of those in the starting 11. It's Jacobiol with Bryn Law.
Well, Yaki, you've had a good few days together since the last game, the win against West Ham. Has that been useful time to work on things?
Yeah, for sure. It has been a good week, good preparation, and we had some time to get prepared for this game today. And for sure, we'll give our best. We're ready for it, and yeah, we'll give our best on the pitch.
Your first start in that game, Is it going to take a little bit of time for you perhaps to adapt to this new league, this new environment?
For sure, it's not easy when you come into the squad, but yeah, the teammates helped me a lot, and I'll give my best as well today. And for sure, it's not gonna take some time. And I felt okay against West Ham already, so just have to continue growing and continue to grow on after that game.
I think you'll expect a tough test here. They're a good side, aren't they, Brian? Particularly at home.
Yeah, for sure. But like we said, we had a good week of preparation. We prepared really good for them, and yeah, we will give our best on the pitch to get some points today.
Great to hear from Jakob Biel there. Training pitch side at the moment, chaps. He's part of an unchanged Leeds United side, taking on Brighton at the Amex today. He's obviously come in for Pascal Struijk after he had that illness. Lots of people were wanting to see him. How do you think he equipped himself against West Ham last week?
I think he did a job. He's very strong. He looked physical. He was on the front foot. He didn't shirk any defensive duties, and he's what he's wanted to do is get a run of games and prove that he can be the player to play in that position on a regular basis, get more minutes and get stronger. I think the question that Daniel Farke would have put to the defenders this season is only 2 clean sheets. I think it's been a big problem because we haven't conceded many chances. But when you look at the actual ratio against with goals, as opposed to the lack, it hasn't been good enough, and there's been a few errors, there's been a few things where it hasn't gone our way. So I think that's the message. We've been very, very solid, but we've just been leaking too many. Does it make sense? And I think the question you've got to say is we've got to go there with a clean sheet mentality. That includes a goalkeeper as well, to just say, you lads, let's just come away with that. And I think if we can get that, we'll get a hell of a result today.
Absolutely. Stuart, just take a look at the Brighton team as well. Obviously, they made a lot of changes for the cup match in midweek. They've reverted to almost the same team that lost at Old Trafford last week, just the one change. So maybe a little bit more settled than we're used to seeing from Hösler's team. Who in that team, from a Brighton perspective, do you think Leeds have to be wary of?
Yeah, I think without stating the obvious, Welbeck, I think there's almost a bit of talk, speculation around him. Can he make the England squad next year? Obviously, he's scoring goals.
I mean, he's turning 35 this month.
I know, but that exactly.
Resurgence?
Well, that shows how good he's doing this season, and so we need to be careful of him. Obviously, we know what Jorginho brings. He can hurt you as well. But I like Matoma. Is it Matoma, the winger as well? He can hurt you. But do you know what? I watched him last week against Man United, and James Milner come on. I don't know if any of you watched it. He come on in the second half, and he was outstanding. Nobody could get near him, and he was just playing balls through the middle of the pitch. He come on in centre midfield. So
show how old that feels to you. When he was 16, I roomed with him.
Yeah, that's
mental.
Pretty old.
He has to change shortly after
it's
that.
It's absolutely crazy to think he's still going, and it's a credit.
Or Minta, I said Matoma's Minta, is it the winger? But there's a number of players in this Brighton team can hurt you. So we've got to be. The thing for me is Leeds have got to play at full pelt. Yeah. I don't think we're good enough at this present moment to play in second gear almost. I think the second half last week showed that. First half when we were on it, we're brilliant. Yeah. Second half when we slack off, we're just not quite at that level. And Leeds have got to be bang on it. Again, against Burnley a few weeks back, they weren't. They got punished. So it's important that we're bang on it. And if we are, we can give anybody a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one point just to sort of draw on what you're both saying there, Leeds have a very sort of poor record scoring goals in the second half. And that's where we seem to struggle, whereas Brighton have scored a lot of goals in the second half, and that's something that Leeds are going to have to watch today, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's things that come down to concentration. It's the subs that you're able to bring on to change games, where you're at in the game. Are you chasing the game? Are you protecting a lead? There's so many things that you can look at for that. But there's one that stood out, they're a very fit team. So the amount of energy levels and repeated sprints that they have got. And I think when other teams have been struggling with their fitness and they haven't had a lot of the ball, they've been chasing, Brighton have been able to get it. So again, we've got to make sure that we're in pole position going into that second half and, like I say, nullify them, because they find the back of the net. He's mentioned the target man, Welbeck, who's the one to stop. But I just think the mentality is, like Stewie said, get in the faces, got to play our game the way we play best, pressing, squeezing, and keep that midfield really tight.
You obviously talked earlier about about the wide players on transitions as well. They've got a big job in their hands defending today as well, because the Brighton wide players are tricky. Can we get back? Can Okafor and Aronson get back, double up? and help, and then whenever we get the ball, we've got to be brave, we've got to have runners, and we've got to try and exploit them. So they've got a job in their hands, which is why Brendan's in the team. You know, he's been criticised for what he produces going forward, but he works really, really hard, and today is a big game for him as well to help Jayden probably on that side out.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for that insight, fellas. Let's hear now from our commentary team who are pitch side. It's Bryn Law and Tony Dorigo.
Well, here we are back at the Amex. It's a beautiful sunny day here on the south coast, first day of November, and we're looking forward, if that's the right phrase, to another meeting against Brighton and Hove Albion. The team news we can reflect on, it's pretty straightforward. Same team as West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely. Same team as West Ham. I think a winning team, it's always good for the manager to send the boys back out again. I like the fact we've had 8 days since that previous game as well. Thought we looked a little tired towards the end of that game, but everyone is fit, so it's a great position to be in.
What's the job that needs doing today?
What's clear is that we need to build on the momentum that we've got, so 3 points is always really important. I think coming here, we know it's been difficult, we know it's been tough. Stop smiling.
Oh.
We're going to be fine. And because I think, for me, as a player, you don't think about what's happened in the past. It's all about this game here. So previously, against West Ham, the boys won. They want to come here and play well. This is a great opportunity again to get some points. And we know how good Brighton is, but they're only a point ahead of us. So we should be coming here positively and looking for a result.
They've won 2, drawn 2 here, so they're unbeaten at home.
Yeah.
They always present a good challenge, don't they, Brighton? They've put together a number of groups of players over the years now.
They certainly do. Georgie, we know all about Jorginho Ruter, who's playing extremely well. Danny Welbeck is having a new lease of life up top, and they play a lovely style of football as well. But they haven't had this season everything go their way, and so why not come here and feel positive? It's going to be a tough game, we understand that, but we are a good side. Bryn, we are a good side, okay? And we can come here and we can get something.
There you go. What he said.
Well, Tony Dorigo's adamant that we are a good side, and we are a good side, fellas. The points and the table confirm that, but I think Leeds know, we know, that it's going to be a tough game today. In terms of the way that Leeds approach this, Michael, we're saying a point is a good result, right, for Leeds United. A draw would be a very creditable result, but you can't. It's very difficult to play for a draw, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You've got to go out and still play your game as if you're going out there to win the game. And like you say, come away with a draw, no problem. You don't go into games saying we get a draw. Realistically, we're ex-players, fans, you want to come away with a point. But the players and the staff aren't saying that. You're going in there to win the game. So they're coming home on the bus when you realise you've got a valuable away point. You know, that used to be, for us, a good feeling. So we talked about them, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses this season for Brighton. But at home, they're unbeaten. They played 4, won 2, drawn 2. So when you look at that, I'm thinking, you know, it would be nice to make sure they've got 1 loss on their home record this season, if we can go and do that. But I still say a point today would be absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. We sort of talked about the inconsistency of Brighton's season, Stuart, but previous seasons have seen Brighton exceed most people's expectations of what a club can do in such a short amount of time in the Premier League, and a lot of that has been put down to excellent recruitment, knowing which players to get, how long to keep hold of them, when to sell to grow the club. It's an impressive model, isn't it? One that Leeds would I'm sure, like to replicate. It's not quite worked in the same way this season, but what's your take on the way that Brighton do things?
Yeah, I think they've kind of set the benchmark for how to recruit players. You know, I was at Brentford for a few years, and the owner there, Matthew Benham, I know that he was sort of friendly with Tony Bloom at the time, and one went one way and he went the other, and both, ironically, are probably the best 2 clubs in the league at recruiting and how they do things. So, yeah, it's very, very impressive in what they do, but you know, they've hired managers as well. You know, the manager they have now, they had De Sebre as well, so they've hired really talented young managers as well. So, yeah, pretty impressive. Again, as I say, they've set the benchmark for clubs that want to sort of mould themselves into that model. But yeah, Leeds are obviously trying to get to there, but Brighton are an established Premier League side as well, aren't they? So for us, it's about, can we maintain where we are this year, next year, and then the club will be able to grow after that.
We mentioned Jorginho Ruter earlier, Michael. I think it's fair to say much missed on Elland Road, as much for his character
off
as
the
his
field as well,
performance.
by the way, because he was a great character, he was a great club man, a lovely fella to be around, and a talented footballer that did his job and got us through. And obviously, Today, I just hope he has an absolute stinker.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, I mean, because often players, you know, it's a job. They have to do the job. They turn up for their team and previous allegiances are out the window. Yeah. But you just get the feeling with someone like Ruta that he really wears his heart on his sleeve. Yeah. And he had this obvious connection with Leeds. He wept as he left, didn't he? And I think that not every player does that. No. Do you think that might have an impact on his performance today? Would it play in the back of a performer like his mind as he's stepping out onto the pitch?
No, he's a footballer, he's a winner. He'll be wanting, he's fully focused and he'll be going out to not prove a point, but to put on a performance for him and his team. There'll be no sentimental thing. Before the game there will be. He's a respectful player. He'll acknowledge the Leeds fans. He'll acknowledge them after the game. But when you're in that game mode, I know Georgie will be playing with a smile on his face because he just loves the job that he does. And that's one of the things that he's just an endearing character. And like I say, today, we're just hoping that he has an off day. And but yeah, like a likeable character. And I think the Leeds fans realise how lucky we were in the end because he had a really tough time. You remember when he first signed when we were on a Premier League decline that season. He was unfit, he didn't get the run of the games, question marks, and he proved what he was worth. And Leeds, obviously, we've got a good bit of value for him, and we go up against him today. We've got to make sure we nullify him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hope he has the kind of match that Crescencio Somerville had against us for West Ham. He didn't really get much of a look in, did he? We've also talked as well about sort of the different threats that both sides possess, and we know that both sides actually relish set plays at the moment, and goals have come from corners. Brighton have scored a lot of corners. We're scoring from corners, which for a long time was the big joke around Elland Road. We'd had like 100 corners.
I know where you're going here. Are you going long throws?
But I wanted to talk about another set piece that has really come to the fore, which is long throws. And you can't talk about football in the Premier League this season without talking about them. We were chatting before this about it, and they seem to have come from nowhere back with a vengeance. Everyone remembers the Rory Delap era from the late 90s and those kind of... It felt like it was a relic that's been brought back. Why do we think this is? And why are they proving so effective in this very technical era of the Premier League?
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. If you give us your thesis, Stuart, that'd be great.
But I don't know. It does. It's a simple way of creating carnage, basically. I think Sean Dyche he compared it to skinny jeans and bootcut jeans. Like, it all has its life cycle. Everything keeps
and it comes back.
It all comes back around. But yeah, listen. I suppose if you're in an area in the box and you can throw it in for me, but you know, I've said on this show last week as well, or 2 weeks ago, about how we worked on throws under Marcelo. It was a way for us of regaining or keeping possession to then. You know, the one side to get out the other side, to overload the 2v1s on the opposite side. So, but obviously long throws have come back in. But again, I can see it turning again now. Everybody's setting up for a long throw. It happened to us against Burnley, where we set up for thinking a long throw was coming in, and all of a sudden Kyle Walker does a 2v1, cross the ball, and it's a goal. So we've got to be really, really careful. It happened, was it last year away to QPR? It happened to us as well, where we conceded the same kind of goal. So we've got to be really, really clever and really clued into what's going on. But yeah, it's come back into business, and it's made Sean Dyche and these guys look like geniuses now.
It's been hilarious to watch because every team seems to have one now. Whereas back in the day, there was a few that you could highlight. There was lad Chandler used to do it, and obviously you mentioned Roy Delap. But when you see teams getting an advantage using it, and then managers will go, hang on, which one of you can do a long throw?
Is what frustrates me at times. So now the long throw's back in, so somebody will come over from the opposite side of the pitch. We see the guy doing it against Liverpool.
Taking so long.
Yeah.
But then when they're under pressure in down in their own corner, they'll still take a short throw.
Why?
Frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating. Get him to throw it up the pitch. But,
it's naughty, isn't it? But there is a real point there.
I will say for them though, they've got 14 goals this season, Brighton. 8 of them have come from open play. So only 3 from set plays. So they're not really that dangerous to set plays as there is a lot of other teams in the division. This team, like Stewie's mentioned earlier on, Brighton carve teams open from open play and score goals. So they create good chances. So I think the focus today is that they've got to be tight, narrow, compact.
Absolutely. I was just going to say as well, in terms of just the flow of football, and we did see so much added time at the end of the first half due to mainly injuries here against West Ham last week. But the disruption from a time perspective, and also the elongated nature of a long throw where you have to have the run up, it's a bit more theatrical than just a quick throw. So it's a really great way if you want to eat up time in a match to kill time.
I like some rules. Every year there'll be some new rules come out, and every pre-season they get a referee to come into the football clubs to discuss the new rules with the players. I've loved the 8-second goalkeeper rule. I think that has been fantastic. I think next season the long throw has to come in where there's on a stop clock or a timer. You can't have a right back walking all the way from one side, then to get a towel, damp the ball down, then a minute 30 throw the ball in. So that, you know, it's a weapon to use, but we need to make sure it's quicker because the fans are losing out on time in play.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you only have to look back to when they introduced the pass-back rule, and you saw how much that killed the game and how much it needed to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about how we think the match is going to go. We're close to kick-off now, just under 4 minutes away. We've talked about the threat that Brighton pose. We've talked about the way that Leeds can approach this game in the hopes of getting something out of it. In terms of sticking your neck out and predicting how the match will actually go and what you think the result could be, Michael, where do you see it ending up?
I've said I want at least have a clean sheet. I really hope that we can manage that realistically. I just think the way Brighton create chances, the amount of chances that we create as a team as well, we've got to make sure we are very clinical today. So I'd love to take a 1-0 win away from home. I'm going to say both teams will score, and I'm going to be realistic and say I'll be happy with a 1-1.
1-1. I wouldn't mind that myself. How about you, Stu?
Yeah, I'm sort of saying, well, I'm thinking a score draw as well. I think it'll be really, really difficult for us to keep a clean sheet because of how they play, but I think we have goals in us as well. I'm going to go 2-2.
Fantastic. Could be a tight game, but we're hoping to squeak something out of it. Well, let's join our commentary team now for the afternoon. It's Tony Dorigo and Bryn Law.
Thank you. Here we are on the south coast, and Leeds United and Brighton Hove Albion have just emerged from the tunnel. Cacophonous build-up to this game over the PA system here. And the mood and the atmosphere will change a little shortly. This is the designated remembrance fixture for Brighton and Hove Albion, so that will be reflected shortly in the build-up to the start of the match. Before that, the teams run through the usual rituals, the high fives and the handshakes, and then we will have the latest episode in the Premier League story as it impacts upon Leeds United after the win against West Ham in the last fixture over a week ago. Leeds looking to build on that